So before I moved, I got a lot of, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going to do that. You're so brave. Wow, I wish I could do that. That takes a lot of courage. I don't know. Does it? I think it's just really merely making a decision and having a plan and executing that plan. My thought. But I will tell you, once you arrive, you will find wherever you're moving to that what you meet on ground is totally different sometimes, or can be, than what you thought. Just simply because we see a lot of things through our eyes of where we currently live, our current circumstances. You know, we call it bias, right? That's a bias. And so when I got here, and I also didn't have anyone to meet me. So I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anyone when I was going to get here. And that I already knew. I already knew I didn't know anybody. So let me talk about what I expected and what was a reality. One, I did not know I was moving in rainy season. So it rained almost every single day when I first got here, almost every day. So yes, there was those little light Caribbean shower rains, but there was also torrential rains that would happen just all day long. Wasn't ready for that. Wasn't ready for the humidity. I kept hearing it was humid. It's not till you get here till you actually know what the weather is. I remember living in Nigeria. I always said it had two seasons. It had dry season and rainy season. That was it. It was either extremely hot and dry. It was raining every day. So you don't really know how that feels for you until you actually are on ground. So that was, you know, expectation versus reality. I thought it was going to be sunny and I was going to be by the beach and by the water because I saw a lot of apartments by the water. But this is a city. Panama is an actual city. And so when I moved to Nigeria, for me, I had already spent 5 months straight there. So I kind of knew the environment a lot. Ethiopia, totally expectation versus reality. Oh my gosh, I went there with all my summer clothes. Is it not Africa? Yes, but it gets cold there. It gets really chilly, and I was not prepared. So I literally had all these sleeveless outfits, and I was like, don't even take it out of your suitcase. Don't even take that out of your suitcase. So sometimes, you know, our personal bias because of how we grew up or how we were is totally different when you get on ground. And also there was, Ethiopia was a cash society when I was there, totally cash, like everything you did had to be with cash. And I remember someone coming to visit me and I told them before they came, bring your cash. This is a cash society. And they're like, I don't know why you're telling me that. Like literally, you could not do anything without cash. So sometimes what you expect and what you see on ground is totally different. Housing for me was totally different. Looking for a place here. I had a budget. I did my best to stay in my budget, and I did. Actually, I got a couple of $100 less I'm spending on what my budget was. But also, I also thought I was going to be living on the water, and I'm not. And it's okay. I'll be okay about that. So you have to also think about what you really want, what's really important, and be ready that sometimes what you think is not what you get. And then you got to think about your rhythm, how you've been living your life. Now, most of us have been working all our lives, and we come with that same energy. We come with that same up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, you got to do all these things. But you know what? You don't have to be at that pace. Whether you're still working or you're not still working, you don't need to necessarily have that same energy. And so I got here, you know, with my same get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you go to the gym, you do your prayer time. You know, I had that schedule, and I realized I don't have to have that same schedule. Now, I still get up early. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't have an alarm clock that wakes me up. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I go to the gym. And so I do have a schedule because I want a schedule for myself. And I also say to myself some days, you know what? I don't want to do that schedule, and I don't. Also, I realize that I don't have to do my schedule every single day the same way. I can kind of mix it up. So that's one of the things you have to give yourself grace to having new rhythm. And also, it's going to take a while for you to get out of that rigid schedule that your body had been so conditioned to as well. And then you have to also expect that perhaps maybe when you get here, you may not have a lot of friends immediately. Now, for me, I did meet quite a few people once I got here because I started meeting people through Facebook. And I started meeting them on Facebook, and then once we got here, we started connecting. And also, when I went to Nigeria, I already had a host of friends because I had small children, and they made friends, so I made friends with their moms. I made friends in Ethiopia because I simply bumped into a couple of people, made friends with them, and then they started helping me make friends with their friends. But you have to ask yourself, do you want a whole new circle of friends? And if you do, you're going to have to put yourself out there. Everyone's not going to knock on your door and come and find you. And so those are some of the things I started learning really early on in every one of my moves. But every move that I made was totally different, from moving with an entire family, for moving just for work, for moving now as a solo, and not having to go to a 9-to-5 every day. So each time I move, it was totally different. So each time I get to establish a new rhythm, and so do you. You get to establish a life in a new rhythm that's going to work for you. You don't have to bring that same energy. If you want to, fine. But you know what? It would be great to tap into the energy into the place that you're in. If it's a little slower pace, take advantage of that. Now, I know that's really hard to do. It's hard for me to do, just to be totally, slow pace. But it's something that you may want to consider. Remember, this is your new season. This is a new season and a new chapter in your life. And if you're writing a new script for a new season, you get to decide what you want to bring over. You get to say, I'm going to have a totally different life, or I'm going to bring it over. So you know what? I'm going to think about it like this. If I think about seasons, we have 4 seasons. Summer and winter are nothing alike. But if you think about fall, it's a little bit of summer and a little bit of winter. And that's how it can be for you for your life. Or like spring, a little bit of winter and a little bit of summer. So you ask yourself, do you want a spring and fall as you move into your new season, take some things with you? Or do you want a summer, which is totally different than anything else? Do you want a winter that's totally different than from anyone else? You get to decide. This is your next step, your next season. See you later. And until then, keep living an elevated life.